In 789 BCE, just over half a century after the Covenant was founded, early Sanchoyum efforts to reverse engineer the Dreadnought's luminary led them to discover the neighbouring world of Tay, located relatively close to nascent Covenant space. 5 years later, in 784 BCE, a Sanchoyum expedition arrived at Tay, hoping to find a plethora of foreigner artifacts, but instead discovered a new species that had settled the rings and moons around the planet, the worm-like Lekgolo. It was on Rentus, one of Tay's moons, that the Sanchoyum made first contact with the Lekgolo colonies that dominated the world, specifically the Gestalt subspecies known as the Lekgolo. By the time of their discovery, the Lekgolo had achieved Tier 3 on the TAT, indicating spacefaring capabilities. It was upon further investigation of the rings around Tay that the Sanchoyum made a shocking discovery. Tay's ring of icy rocks and debris were the remnants of foreigner installations which had been ravenously consumed by the Lekgolo worms over the span of millennia, as the space worms made their enormous, intricate burrows. Covenant scripture on the matter was absolute. Destruction of holy foreigner artifacts was heresy, and so the Sanchoyum condemned the Lekgolo to be exterminated. Sanghili-led Covenant legions deployed across Tay and its surrounding moons to pacify and root out the Lekgolo, but resistance proved more determined than expected. Whenever the Covenant resorted to orbital bombardment, the Lekgolo retreated inside intact foreigner installations, forcing the Covenant to cease fire and return to groundside operations. Realizing a war of extermination against trillions of worms was a fool's gambit, especially against the powerful Lekgolo Gestalt, the decision was made by the hierarchs to send an arbiter to take charge of the campaign. This new arbiter, Jet Lekmati, travelled alone aboard a diplomatic shuttle to another of Tay's moons, Runtu, where he proceeded deep into Lekgolo lairs, battling Lekgolo and learning their strengths and weaknesses in the process. During his time on the surface, Lekmati discovered that not all Lekgolo had consumed foreigner alloys. Armed with this insight, Lekmati advised abandoning their war of extermination, electing instead to tame the Lekgolo. While the Sanchoyum were eager to enforce their moral authority, they acquiesced to the Arbiter's wisdom on the matter, and a ceasefire was agreed upon. The Covenant opened negotiations with the Lekgolo, but were slowed by translatory difficulties. Eventually, the Sanghili threatened to use nuclear weapons to scorch Tay's surface, which forced the Lekgolo to finally surrender. This event, now known as the Taming of the Lekgolo in the Covenant's historical record, made Lekmati a legendary figure in Covenant history, and added the formidable Lekgolo to the Covenant military's ranks, bolstering the Sanghili's already considerable martial prowess with the brute brawn of an armoured living tank.